of soul. Baby, drag me across your love. I'm a cross-cut soul. Baby, drag me across your love.
All right, welcome back to In the Real. Here we are. It's been, a couple of years? Yeah, it's been a while. Got a little bit of a new setup going on here in a different room. Got a computer set in front of me. Going to hear some keyboard clicks, mouse clicks, all sorts of fun stuff. So I'm your host, Eric, and In the Real. It's been a couple of years, as mentioned. Just been busy with life. Things go by. Things change. I'm here with, nobody, just me. Little format change with the hosts. It's just going to be myself at this point. The other two hosts have moved on to different things in life. And doesn't mean we won't have guests from time to time. I'm going to try this out as a single operation here this time. And we'll see how that goes. Nevertheless, I want to thank Pat McLaughlin and band. That was a promo video from his Facebook page. And this is the Pat McLaughlin in the Twin Cities, Minnesota. I know there's another one in another location down south somewhere. Not the same guy. So there's a promo video on Pat McLaughlin's Facebook page that I was just listening to there. It's got a bunch of songs on it. I do not know the names of them. Bunch of musicians singing. They're all Minnesota blues folks. So head on over there and send them some credit. Moving on. Got the host update. Let's see how long this lasts for today. Don't really have much to talk about, but we'll see what we can produce. I'm going to talk about some news information, some recent stuff that's come up. Of course, it's a one-sided conversation. Doesn't always go as pleasant as one would like, so I'll do my best to try to argue both sides on air. As usual, more disclosures for you. Leave comments. We always like them. Don't be an asshole. I'm going to do a perfectly good job at that already in the comment section. Be constructive, but no need to be hammering people, going after people. We all have different opinions. If you've been paying any attention to the world today, everybody's got a different position in almost everything, and that's okay. It doesn't mean we're right, doesn't mean we're wrong, doesn't mean one of us is better than the other. But we don't need to be faceless on a computer trying to be a jerk to people. So if you leave a jerky comment, it's just going to get deleted. Not even going to deal with that. So far, it's all been good. So we appreciate that. Let's keep it up. So leading on from there, we have a local story about a sports broadcaster in a hockey tournament game. I think it was the state hockey. Yeah, I'll read the title here. It was a 45 TV announcer. He made a comment during a game that I guess some people got whipped up about. I can understand the words triggering some concern in people's mind, but only if it's taken out of context. He had no ill will as far as I'm concerned. And let me be clear from my position. I do not watch these games. I do not listen to sports broadcasters. I do the football stuff, NFL. That's it. I'll watch college stuff, but I don't really get into it that much. So I don't even know this guy. I've never listened to his announcing, but I can't imagine somebody going on air and acting this way. I mean, they're going to ruin their life all on its own if they had any ill will behind some of their comments, which it's been happening quite a bit these days, even on social media. One of my favorite comics. I have a lot of favorite stand-up comics. Kevin Hart, his ordeal with hosting, what was it, the Oscars, or whatever the award show is. I don't watch award shows. I think they're useless. Well, they're useless to me. Taking no credit away from the people that do the hard work and deserve awards, but the shows don't really do anything for me. But he had a lifelong dream of doing this, and he got awarded with it, and not even a day later, he's getting hammered about comments he made years prior as as a comic. I've said things that have been terrible. I still say things that are terrible. I'm sure I've done it online. It doesn't make me a bad person, and it doesn't necessarily say or define me, nonetheless say anything about me, just that comment itself. So I personally don't listen to people's comments that might be questionable and say, this is this person now. That's just not what I do. Call it judgment, if you will. I have a unique perspective on judgment. I judge people every day. Everybody judges people. People judge me. It happens. It's going to happen. Go all the way back to caveman days. That's how you stay alive, and that's also how you protect yourself today. So if you're one of those people that are going to stand up and say, I don't judge people, I'm going to call you a liar, because you do. You just don't admit it. I admit it. Now, just because I judge you doesn't mean that's defining you. And that's just for me. And I'm not going around parading to people, probably not the right word there, that you're this kind of person. I don't do that. And that's where judging people becomes wrong. When you try to pass your judgment on as what's right. That's not something we should be doing. So I say judge all you want. I personally don't care. Just don't try to tell me you're right in your judgment. You can have your opinion about it. That's great. But if you're going to tell me you're right, I'm wrong, well, we might not get along so well. Getting back to the story here. The announcer, I believe his name is Doug McLeod. And I'm not, hammering on Doug here at all. I don't know him. I know nothing about him. But I'll read a little bit of the story here. Play-by-play announcer Doug McLeod apologized Friday after referring to lynching ropes while calling a quarterfinal game in a state boys hockey tournament. And this was on a Thursday. From today's date, I'm imagining like, March 6th or something like that? Might have been Thursday. I'm not really sure. Again, I don't get into these sports, so... He issued a statement to our local paper, the Star Tribune, saying he was mortified. Now, I'm going to pause here just to give my 2 cents. I don't think he had a reason to apologize. Without a doubt, the comment that he used, the words that were in it, may have, again, upset some people. But my personal opinion, the way you take something says a lot more about you than it does about the person who said it. So yeah, I don't know. I'll just keep going here. In quotes here, as I have occasionally done, I went for a movie reference, but out of context, it sounded totally inappropriate. So to me, that phrase there, he's admitting that what he said, if you took it out of context, it sounds terrible, which isn't the way he meant it. Looks like he wrote this without clarifying which movie he was referring to. Quote again, I said it, I own it, I was wrong. Okay, good for you. Now, I can only speak for myself, as everybody can. I don't personally care what you said. It could have been something, and I'm going to be a little brutal here. And don't take this stuff way beyond what I'm trying to say. It could have been something way off the edge, completely inappropriate. I personally still would not have cared. I'd have just looked back and gone, okay, that's probably not good. Well, that didn't happen here anyway. From what I've heard, it's our local radio station that I listen to, a morning show here. It's a KQRS Morning show. I believe they were able to play the audio from that. I didn't hear anything wrong with the comments at all. It was no different than me yelling at the TV during an NFL game, telling the defense to kick somebody's ass or take them down, kill them, drive them in the ground. It's like, I don't imply causing harm or hurting them permanently. It's just an aggressive position to, I guess, verbally display my excitement. But if somebody were to actually carry that out, that would feel terrible because you were listening to a comment I said. Now, of course, I'm talking about through the TV, so that's a little foolish. But, even at live games, at live games, the only ones I've been to some pro games, but I don't yell at them, and they're not going to hear me, so it's pointless. I suppose doing it at the TV is kind of stupid too then, along that lines. But otherwise, it's been youth football stuff. But yeah, I don't yell stuff there either. It's I guess just in comparison, it's not a big deal. If you get a chance to Google this and maybe you can hear it for yourself and listen to it, then so be it. Quote, as I have, I read that part. I'm going to skip forward. Quote, if you know me and my work, you know that I may be capable of bad humor, but never bad intent. Now, if all of us really want to look at human beings as never being ill-willed, being generally good, why does, I guess, a lot of people today look at every word somebody says as being purposely harmful? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why aren't we letting some things go? Why aren't we just forgiving and forgetting some things? Because it just seems to be a better way to go. Now if somebody's out utilizing his comment in a way that is negatively implied, then our inference would go along with that. And why can't we just match that up? I personally don't know. So I guess where he works has to do with the University of Minnesota, and this had to do with something to do with Fox Sports North. I'm not sure what all those things are. They were at our local Xcel Energy Center for this game. I believe that's where our hockey team, the Minnesota Wild, plays as well. Makes sense. So, reading on here, during the second period of the Class 2A quarterfinals game between White Bear Lake and Blaine, McLeod made an offhanded comment shortly after a Blaine goal. Quote, so here's his comment. All the White Bear fans, get out the lynching ropes. So what's the problem? Now, that would be no different than saying something, well, I guess there is differences if you go by definition, but just in comparison to, I guess, making a point, if he said something about, okay, White Bear fans, time to get out your sniper rifles. Well, now, that might be a little drastic as well, and he most certainly isn't instructing people to do stuff like that for real. If anybody was going to listen to such advice from what I would consider a color commentary person, play-by-play, I guess, is more appropriate, then that leads me to being a bit of a moron to take direction from this person in that way. I guess that comes down to human discretion, common sense. I'm not going to do stuff like that. I'm not going to get a lynching rope. Even if I had a lynching rope, I'm not going to go get it over this hockey game. So I guess I don't understand the problem. The statement appeared to go unnoticed by his broadcasting partner, and that person's name is Lou, is it Nain? I'm not good at pronouncing names, so. According to a 6-second video clip posted on Twitter, but some hockey fans expressed outrage on social media about this choice of words. Then those people that expressed the outrage. Now, this is my personal opinion. The people that expressed outrage over his choice of words, they are a problem. They are inferring things in ways that are so negative, it says stuff about them. And that's my take on it. What happened to personal responsibility? I mean, yes, he can say, yeah, it probably wasn't the best choice of words to do. You don't owe me an apology. Matter of fact, if I brought it to your attention personally, said, hey, you know what? Not sure the lynching ropes idea there. If you'd have just looked at me and said, yeah, you know what? After I said that, I realized, it's probably not a good reference to make. Yeah. Hey, I didn't personally care, but, just in case somebody might. He just said, yeah, okay. You don't owe me an apology. I was just curious about where you were going with that. What movie did you hear that from? I don't know. That would have been it, in my opinion. But apparently some people like to get whipped up over things. Reading on here. McLeod was ultimately pulled off the air. See that pointless. Just pointless. If you look at this guy's entire career, how many mistakes has he made in it? I'm sure he's made more than this. And I'm sure he's made mistakes that have been bigger than this, more costly. And this use of a word or phrasing was just that bad. Come on. I don't know. So the chief political reporter for KSTP was serving as a studio host for the tournament coverage and later apologized to viewers. See, now why are you even opening your mouth? You didn't say anything. That's not your responsibility to take. Well, maybe it is. I guess I don't know the hierarchy there, so I could be wrong in that. And that's okay. Quote, earlier in this broadcast this afternoon, there was an inappropriate comment made. Unquote. I disagree. I don't think the comment was inappropriate. There's nothing inappropriate about it. Okay, we heard some people don't like it. All right, don't apologize. Just, rethink it in the future. I still don't think there's anything wrong with it, but hey, who am I to judge, right? Quote, if you were offended by this comment, we sincerely apologize, unquote. See, again, there's that aspect of things. If you were offended by this, that was your choice to be offended, your problem, not ours. I would say that, hey, we realize that maybe there was some verbiage used that may not be appreciated, and we're going to do our best to clear that up. That's it. Don't even apologize from there. But everybody wants somebody to kiss their ass and apologize for themselves. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. Let's see. What is this saying? The University of Minnesota starts a best-of-3 playoff series tonight against Michigan. Broadcaster by FSN+. Okay. So it was just more information on the event itself that's in this article that I'm kind of reading verbatim to you. Yeah, I don't agree with this at all. And I'm a person of ethnic background. It's not important to what extent or how. Means nothing really. But it exists, and I can tell you that confidently that I take pride in that. But there isn't one person on this planet that's going to offend me with it. And people do it jokingly. People have done it seriously. And I don't care because I choose not to be offended by such stuff. I don't have to be. So people that choose to be, you people are a bigger problem. That's really what it comes down to, in my opinion. So, yeah, so be it. I guess if I'm wrong for thinking that way, then I'm wrong. But when I hear people talking and I hear people saying things that I don't like and I disagree with, I don't choose to be offended. I just look at myself and say, yeah, I don't like that. And that's for me. Now, I serve this country in upholding its rights and its ability, which if you are going to want free speech, you are going to hear things you don't like. You are going to hear things that are possibly offensive, but you don't need to be offended by it. That's I guess my opinion. Now, I am in no way advocating for people to go around acting like a prick or an a-hole and saying things to people that are just rude, harmful, and hurtful just because you can. That's unacceptable. That's not living in a civilized environment. And we are in a society, and we need to act appropriately. There's no reason to do harm to other people, whether it's physical or intellectually, emotionally, and verbally. We don't need to do that. And without a doubt, people in heats of moments get upset and say things they shouldn't. Yeah, we know. It happens. Take a step back. Cool down. It's okay. Did this guy's comment ruin your life that day? Did it just completely destroy everything in your world? No. Get over it. Move on. Why do you want to screw up his entire life just because you don't like a couple of words? Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's my take on that. It's leading up to another larger point I'm going to have in a short moment here. Along those lines with sports stuff, the former 49ers quarterback, I'm not even going to mention his name. It's not worth it. That whole ordeal with the protesting for whatever he wanted to protest for. I mean, are we ever going to know the real reason why he started that mess up? Maybe, maybe not. Generically, when people come to me and say there's this unfairness regarding race and gender and things like that, I don't disagree that it happens, but I don't agree with that being part of our country or part of big businesses or companies. I think that it exists on an individual level. There are people that act that way and make decisions and choices that way, and I think they are a problem, and they need to learn better. But why are they like that? Well, they're like that because they learn to be that way. And I don't care what gender you are, or what color you are, or what your ethnic background is, or where you came from. If you're taught to act a certain way towards a certain people, that's how you're going to act. And that's the way you're going to be thinking. And that's on you. Now, when you work for a business, you're representing that company, and your actions reflect on that company. Now, that doesn't mean the company supports you in those decisions. But when it's stuff like this, and then all of a sudden the business is going, oh my gosh, these people need to go because they're representing us poor, that's one decision based on the company. But for everybody as a consumer or in the public thinking that the company is promoting stuff like that, that's just ridiculous. This is a person that is acting in a very inappropriate way. Now, if they were going to honestly sit back and say, well, I thought the company wanted me to act that way. Okay, now we've got some questions to ask. And at what point did the employer teach them to act this way? And I'm betting it would just be something that they would try to do to not get personally blamed so they could get another job. But I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole here. I'm not intending to go down, but yeah. You'll see where that comes into a little bit later here. But moving on, now, I'm not going to say this guy's name here either. I think his last name is pronounced Smollett. I'm not going to do the first name because I've heard it pronounced 2-3 different ways, and I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced. I'm sure I could listen to it somewhere and follow suit, but not going to do that. So we've been hearing about this Smollett. I could even be pronouncing that wrong. This guy started off with him being attacked, blaming a certain race of people, that they were against him, and I think his sexual preference came into play. I really don't know. I gotta confess, I don't really watch the news much, so I haven't really been following this stuff that closely, just getting small little updates here and there. So, if you're using me as your news source, hey, I say you better do some research. At any rate, he seems to be facing deeper legal troubles. A grand jury returned 16 felony counts against this actor for falsely reporting a hate crime attack against him in January. Now, this is a celebrity, and I've got a rant about celebrities to include athletes and musicians and all those celebrities, stars, as you want to call them, whatever they are. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But touching on it briefly, this is what happens when somebody is in a position that people will listen to them. And when they act irresponsible with that, bad stuff can happen. I'll give you an example. Now, I'm a nobody. But if people were listening to this and I started ranting and raving about something existing in the world and people just took me as in my word, now I'm spreading things. And if I am not confident that it's accurate, and even to hell with confidence that it's accurate, if I don't know it's accurate, and I just think it's accurate because I'm confident it's accurate, that's a big effing problem. You cannot do that. Because that's how problems occur. That is where all this hatred today is going on. Whether it's a political battle thing, a gay rights thing, a gender identifying thing, whatever it is, it's all garbage. Nobody truly cares. Deep down, everybody has an opinion, everybody has a thought. But I'm going to tell you right now, if my neighbor comes over and says, hey, I have a problem with the way you dress. I'm like, yeah? Well, let's identify that accurately. You have the problem. Then don't look at me. And that's it. It's not going to solve anything for them. They don't have to like it, but they have no position to tell me I'm right or wrong. And that's the country we live in. So, it's okay. I'm not really sure where I was going with that. I kind of lost my train of thought on that deal, but we're going to get back to this story here. The grand jury returned the disorderly conduct charges on Thursday. He's scheduled to be arraigned on March 14th. The specific allegations, quote, false report of offense, unquote, are class 4 felonies. So as what I've been hearing this guy, we saw the video of him getting his ass whooped by a couple of people. It came out, and this is not necessarily an accurate thing because I've only heard this, that it had to do with him blaming a particular race and claiming that they made commentary toward his sexual preferences and stuff like that. And now we're learning there is evidence he, what would you say, financially backed this attack, down to supplying the items used, as well as paying the people to do this to him. And I'm sure he did it where there was cameras, and he knew there was, so that this could get videoed or on video and then be promoted in a way. So if this is accurate, that it's all fake, which, you know, the evidence seems to be pointing that way, you know, this guy's got some real problems. What was the point? Because the only thing this did was doubt everybody who claims that it happened. That's all that does. And that's not a good thing. It's like the Me Too movement stuff. You have people coming forward in a false way, and just because they're pissed off something didn't go their way and it didn't necessarily happen in the true spirit of that, that's a problem. Okay, I'm going to openly admit something here. I've been raped. I'm a guy. Yes, I've been raped by women. Okay, yes, it can happen, people. I've dealt with it. I've moved on. I'm okay. I'm not saying it doesn't hurt. It most certainly does. And I'm not going to say that there aren't people out there that have suffered worse. But, that being said, what would irritate me is somebody claiming that happened just because they didn't like the way the date turned out at the end of the night. And so now it just didn't seem like it was right for them to do what they participated in. So then it became something of criminal act. Okay, that's a problem. That's demeaning the effects that actual conduct had to me. That's undermining that completely. I don't go around claiming to have PTSD because, and maybe I have some. I'm okay. I'm dealing with life. But people who really suffer from that every day, they experience that. So I'm not going to cheapen what these things are about because I can or cannot deal with the situation I was handed. I've dealt with it. I moved on, and it's okay. This guy has done nothing but that to many things. He's done it to assaulted victims, batteried victims. He's done it to people of any race, really, and damaged relationships between the races he claims, as well as gender identifying issues. I mean, this guy's damaged so much in what he thought, I'm guessing here, was an attempt to bring some attention to the situation. And the attention it brought was not the kind of attention that's helpful, we'll say. Without a doubt, completely damaging. And let's just be honest. Now, this is, of course, going forward. He hasn't been found guilty yet or in trial yet, and so I'm convicting him personally here. I'm not saying he's guilty yet, but this is the kind of asshole we don't need on the planet, okay? We've got enough of these kind of a-holes. We don't need any more. Enough said on that. If you've been paying attention to the situation, more power to you. Again, I don't watch the news because there is just too much negative stuff in it all the time, and I'm not interested in hearing about Donald Trump every minute of every day when he goes to the can and what he had to say to the toilet and whatever the hell else he's got going on. You know, compared to then this idiot and what he's been doing, you know, I don't care. I don't need to hear all that. Let the legal system deal with it and tell me how it turns out. But be efficient about it. Don't waste all my tax-paying money. So, yeah. Stuff, as an example, you know, I know I'm not trying to beat this horse to death here, but look at the victims of R. Kelly. And again, hasn't been convicted, but there are people coming out making allegations. Now, right now, we can only look at it at that it's true and it's accurate. His conduct for his interviews recently seemingly have to do with some controlling factors. But if any of this stuff is false, you are harming the integrity of people that it really has happened to. And you can't do that. And I'm not assuming these people are faking it, but that is what some of this fake stuff has done, is really put doubts in people's mind. And it's put doubts in my mind. It's like, this happened. Oh, somebody else did this. Oh, another person did that. All right, well, okay. Well, hopefully justice is served there. That's the best I can hope for now. You know, recently now the Michael Jackson stuff has come back up. And I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. But these children have come forward with saying this happened, you know. Okay. I mean, and I'm not trying to be callous about the situation, but there's nothing that can be done now except us acknowledging that we're hearing hearing you out and hearing the truth, and hoping that, and I, again, not trying to be disparaging here, but hoping that what we're hearing is the truth. I haven't looked at the situation from the past when it was happening and going, he couldn't have done that. I don't know. I really don't. I wasn't there. By the evidence that was presented, by the people that made the decisions, it didn't happen. Well, why would so many people say this then? To me, it's like, yeah, there was probably something going on. I don't know what, but something. And it was significant enough to be a problem. So I'm hoping that these are Kelly victims and the victims of Michael Jackson. And again, assuming that all of that is accurate, that they get the help that they need and they're able to move on. Because that is what's really important in life, being able to move on. So my point to what I was talking about with the 49ers former quarterback that started all the protesting thing in the NFL, the R. Kelly even can be pulled into this. The Smollett actor, and any celebrity. And I say celebrity, if you want to hear star, you want to hear musician, actor, athlete, whoever in that limelight capability. This is where I'm standing with all of these folks. On social media, I've seen a lot of stuff coming from them. In the political arena, seen celebrities start running for office and advocating for things and opening their mouths. In TV shows, it coming out from political stances, stuff like that. What I want to press upon these celebrities and these other actors and these people in these limelights is to understand. Let's just clarify something. All of you fall into a category. And that category is you have a stage and a microphone in life. You are in a position where people can hear you, people can see you. And I'm not talking about your conduct being appropriate just in general. It does need to be. And you're not a role model. I taught my children, you people are not role models at all. You have a job that ends up putting you in the faces of the public. That's all. There's nothing about you that is a big deal. You can have a real good skill. You can have a great craft and you can do great things with it, and you can also be horrible at it and still be in that light. And of course, that's personal opinions on whether an actor or a singer is good or bad. It depends upon what we like and don't like. That being said, because you are in that position to be heard and seen, you need to take a higher level of responsibility with that. You should never, in my opinion, be voicing out your opinions about your beliefs unless you're supporting somebody else's, actions, and not another celebrity. Not at all. And the reason why I say that is people hear you and they listen. They believe because you're in that position in life that you're this better person and that you know what's going on, and you probably don't. And that's not to say that you don't. I don't know. But it's still a personal perspective and attitude that you have because you're just a human being. And if you see things a certain way and you start promoting it being that way, you have people that are fans that are just going to listen to you and believe you and follow you without doing any research. And then you have these people pushing in that direction. And they're not even making up their own mind. And now that is what you have done, is taken the responsibility of other people's decisions into your hands. And you didn't even try. I get that. But that's what's happened. That is a huge problem. A long time ago, Elvis Presley, I wish I could hear it better in this interview. Somebody was asking him a question, and I couldn't hear the question well enough, but it seemed to be on a situation happening politically, and I'm guessing at that. His response is very similar to one that Dolly Parton often supplies when people ask her for opinions about other people and political things and stuff like that. And the response in summary here is, I'm an entertainer. I don't talk about those things. That is not what I'm here for. Things like that is like, no, I don't discuss those things. I'm an entertainer. That's their job. And for them, and to me, that's the best thing you could ever say. What do you think about the situation right now with the politics and the Republicans and Democrats and Donald Trump and whoever? If you are a celebrity in that, you should say exactly those things. You know what? I'm just an athlete. You know what? I'm just an entertainer. I'm a singer. I'm an actor. I don't have an appropriate opinion to give you on that at this point in time. Maybe even that. Or I'm not going to discuss those topics, and on air. That's a personal matter. Whatever, you just should never be saying stuff like that. There are actors and actresses that I actually like. And in the last election, the things that they were saying, the things they were doing on social media, I've come to dislike a little bit. It's not that I don't like their work. I still do. I'll even admit I still like Michael Jackson's songs. I'll still listen to his music. I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to listen to it on YouTube, because I'm not going to support something like that because I don't know. But the albums I already have. I have some. I like the music. I highly doubt what he was doing if he was doing those things to those children. And I'm not taking one side or the other. If that was happening, I highly doubt that made him be a good performer. That has nothing to do with that. But I understand some people take it to those extremes, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I've been seeing something on social media recently to this point. Matter of fact, I think it was just this morning. A celebrity retweeted something saying, from somebody else even, mass shootings have, there's a lower rate of mass shootings in states with higher gun control laws. And the last time I had even looked into that was completely backwards. But now I don't know what they're including in their data, number one. Number two, I don't know exactly what they're referencing when they say mass shootings. Are you talking 2 or 3 people got shot? Are you talking about a group of people that got murdered? I don't know what they're defining those limits at. But whether that's true or not, from my information, not true. But that's from my research. But when you put that out there, and it's not correct, that's a problem. That's misrepresenting situations. And we don't want that or need that. So that comes down then to social media responsibilities. If you're going to just spew out bullshit on social media, then you're a problem. Because people read that, they think they know what's going on, and it's not a good thing. And that, again, there are the other side of the fence, the personal responsibility of, people acting appropriately and, taking to heart what it is they're reading. So yes, there are two sides to that fence, and I'm not taking anything away from one side, but as individuals, we need to be more personally responsible for what we're doing and the effects that it has. Just like me on this podcast, the things that I say, if people are listening to, they're going to take in certain ways, and I'm not. And I say it probably more often than I care to. To me, it just should be automatic. Don't think I know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay? I look at things from my world and what affects my world. That doesn't mean it fits into yours. And the shit you hear me say and the things I'm talking about, in my opinion, research the subjects and the topics and form your own. Stop listening to public opinion as being facts just because it's readable. We've all taken tests that are true and false questions. We've read things that are not true. And we've answered those questions as being false and got them correct. Okay? Watch what you're reading. Just research it. Maybe stop listening to the news. I don't know. I hate to say that because I know people that work in the news and, I hate to say they're good or bad. I don't know. I don't work in that world. But, even I think news outlets need to take more responsibility in what they're doing. I mean, the stories are leaning one way or another way, and you shouldn't do that. You should be walking on a very tight, tiny rope representing both sides in any story, any news. That's just the way it goes. There was something in Wisconsin. This gal, was she like 14 or 15? This guy kidnapped her, killed her parents. That story recently, it was about a month ago. And with all the fake shit that's out there, I have to tell you, I'm just being honest. I'm waiting for that to come out as BS, and that this chick really devoted into it with this guy who is her boyfriend that killed her parents off. That's what I'm waiting for. And why? Because people do stuff like that. Look at this guy, this Smollett. Look what he staged out. Allegedly. Now I'm not saying she's lying. I don't know. I wasn't there. Only she knows what the truth is. And I got to tell you, by what's been laid out there, that's impressive that she's probably holding it together the way that she is. Because, that's amazing. But yeah, and what my point is that I have doubt in that. I'm sure a lot of people do, because of the way people are nowadays, and it's just ridiculous. I've said it a million times. This world's overpopulated. There's too many people, and whether it's you believe that in where you live or not, it's not just about where you are. This planet is where you are, and what happens on the other side of this globe, it's going to affect you too. So in, what is it? It's either Japan or China and India, with that exploding population they have going on there, that's going to affect this entire planet. It's too much. You just slow it down. And I think just recently some politician had made some sort of comment about not having babies or something like that. It's not that she's wrong. The downside is, in the U.S., if we just do that, it's not going to matter. It has to be a global thing, and we are not united as a planet. And it's unfortunate because as a planet, our species is killing itself. It's just a global thing. Doesn't matter. Where I'm at here, I got all the fresh water in the world that I need, but that doesn't mean it's all there for everybody in the world. It's not going to make it. So, that's not a good thing. But in the end of it, I probably won't be here for the demise of the planet. So all to the stars, the celebrities, the high-profile athletes, all those people, I say STFU. You need to back it down, man. Take some responsibility and don't talk about things that aren't unnecessary. So, yeah. So that's what I got today. That's all I wrote down. I didn't know what to talk about on this first solo venture. Trying to argue with myself is really challenging. Without a doubt, I'm going to come off seeming to lean one way to some people and the other way to others. And I'm I don't do that. I have my opinions without a doubt, and I try to stress that when I comment on things that it's just my opinion here. So if you have questions about that, you can ask the questions, and if you're going to reference something that I said, make sure you put the time slot in there so I can listen to it, because when I hit the stop button here, that's as far as I remember, because just like everybody else, I think I'm doing the right thing, and I'm not trying to do anything harmful or intentionally hurtful, so why would I have to remember anything to defend? So, going to close out here. It is, what is this today? It's Saturday, March 9th, 2019. And we're living yet in a winter wonderland here in Minnesota. Started off raining a few hours ago, and now it's snowing again. It's got to be letting up. And hey, if you're a proponent for the position of global warming, take a look out my window. But I say that in jest. It's being silly, because I guess if you want to hear an opinion about that, climate change, yeah, there's climate change. Can't deny it. There's always going to be climate change. The climate's going to change by getting warmer. It's going to change by getting colder. It's going to happen day to day, year to year, decade to decade, millennium to millennium, century to century, however you want to look at it, it is always going to change. And to touch on that just briefly, we don't know what cycle the planet's in. We don't. This place has been here for, I don't know what, 4.5 billion years. It's got another 4.5 billion to go. It's been frozen solid. It's been torched, and it's been through those stages many times. And it's going to keep happening. It's just the way it goes. And in my opinion, human beings do not have that kind of control over the climate. Will we have an effect? Sure. We might have discussed this on previous podcasts as well, but are human beings a contributing factor? Sure, but at what level? Because I got to tell you, do some research. The stuff I have found, the education that I have had, a volcano puts a heck of a lot more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere than cars do. And I know our cars nowadays are a lot more efficient, so that's great. But there are other things that are factors. And if we really want to take a balance against what humans are contributing, it's going to come down again to population. No matter what efforts you make, if the population's out of control, it's not going to matter, ever. And there are some numbers. I'm gonna screw these numbers up. I might have said them before in the past. It's been a while. In 2010, I think these numbers were out. I want to say there was what about just under 8 billion people at the time, and that's 8 billion on the planet. And that's just the census of collection. It could have been more. Don't really know. But at that time, this planet has a reproductive cycle, a ability to rejuvenate, and it's at a rate that it can do at its maximum all the time. You can't make it happen any faster. And for this planet's rejuvenation process to sustain naturally the population in 2010, we needed 1.4 Earths, almost another half planet, just to sustain that population naturally. So when you're talking about hormones in animals to grow them and the chemicals in plants to grow them faster and so forth, it's necessary, or we're not going to survive either, because there's too much population. Now, that was almost a decade ago. What do you think it's at now? What are we pushing, 9 billion? That's not good. And I know some people start thinking, well, we're going to live on the moon soon, or we're going to be going to Mars. You can and you can't. Human beings live on this planet. Our bodies function here. Things that are different on the moon and on Mars do not work with our body very well. We do not know what kind of effects that's going to have. Permanently, long term. We don't know. We're not going to know. And anything we need to survive, we have to build and mine there. Well, to even get there, we have to bring things from here until we can figure those out. And yet, they might not be able to sustain life for any long period of time without being detrimental. We have astronauts in low gravity orbit. They come back with vision problems, bone density loss, muscle problems, all sorts of things when they stay up there long term. Those things are going to exist on those other land masses. Well, I hate to say land, but the moon and Mars, because the gravity is different. And to say, now here's an example, it takes about 9 months to get to Mars. The effects on the body in 9 months, we already know what that is just in orbit around the Earth, and it isn't good. And when you get there, you're still going back into some sort of gravity from zero. And what's it going to take for you to get back to 100% to even do any work there? That could be a problem. The moon, what is it, 1/10 the gravity there, if I remember right? What's the effects of you living there for any long period of time? And you come back here. Then what? Your life might be over. We don't know those things yet. And so how is it going to work for people living there? We don't know. Artificial gravity? How are you going to make something have artificial gravity? Well, then we're talking about apparatuses on individuals, and now you're talking about equipment. And so, and again, those are just thoughts, quick ideas out of my head. I'm sure there's lots of other options that can be explored, but this is the planet we have. I joke about it all the time. I want my own planet, but that's unrealistic. And, hey, it is what it is. So think about that. You want to make a difference? Think about the effect you have on the entire planet. When you throw that gum wrapper on the ground, probably doesn't matter. However, you're still a pig. Pick it up. Put it in a garbage can. That's what our organizations for waste management are for, to maintain those things. Well, they don't work if you don't use them. So, yeah. Well, we are going to fade out here with the Pat McLaughlin Band again in this promotional video that I found on YouTube. Again, from a link on his Facebook page. And I'll definitely have those links in the details for this podcast. I want to appreciate your time, appreciate you listening. We're capped off here at just about an hour. Any ideas, please leave them in the comment box. I'm going to try to be more regular. Again, it's been a couple of years. I realize that, and I appreciate you guys listening and coming back. But, I have to come up with things to talk about and talk about by myself. So it'll be challenging, but it'll be worth it. I enjoy doing this. It's a lot of fun. And hopefully we can all stay on a nice level ground. Again, this is just my opinions. It's my thoughts. I'm not here to disparage anybody or to make anybody look bad or feel bad. It's all for entertainment purposes. So, hey, think positive, be happy. And we'll close out here with the Pat McLaughlin Band's promotional video. Appreciate you listening. See you next time.